Downsizing after 60 is no small challenge, not because you have too many things, but because every item holds a piece of your memory, and memories are never easy to let go of. There comes a moment when you realize your home is overloaded. It's filled with things you once needed, but no longer use. Filled with images of others, but no longer reflects who you are today. And you start to wonder, what should I keep? What should I let go of? And how do I do it without hurting anyone? At this point, decluttering is no longer just about rearranging drawers. It becomes about rearranging your life. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, stuck, or simply tired at the thought of starting, then this video is for you. No theories, no cliches, just a heartfelt survival guide for emotional downsizing after 60, especially if you're living in the US or other Western countries where every decision is tied to property, family, and your own independence. In this video, you'll clearly understand the 3 silent fears that make you hold on to everything, even when it no longer serves you. Learn how to let go gently of the items that have quietly weighed on your heart for years. And most importantly, discover how to keep what truly reflects who you are, even if no one else understands why it matters. You'll also learn the powerful principles to help you stop the arguments with loved ones during this process, because no one should end a beautiful life journey with fights around an old cabinet. If that speaks to you, please stay until the end, because this isn't just a video about cleaning a house. It's a gentle reminder. You can live lighter, and it starts right where you are. Elaine was 67 when she decided it was time to downsize her life. She no longer needed 3 bedrooms. She didn't need a garage full of just-in-case things, and she certainly didn't need drawers filled with items she couldn't even remember owning. But when she started opening each drawer, each cardboard box, what Elaine found wasn't clutter. It was a wave of emotions, stronger than any storm outside. Among the old belongings, Elaine met herself from 40 years ago. She met her late husband. She met her children, now grown, with families of their own. And she met dreams, once alive and full of color, now quietly resting in the yellowed pages of forgotten notebooks. Elaine knew she needed to let go, but somehow, her hands hesitated, her eyes welled up, and her heart felt like someone was pulling it back. What she didn't realize was that 3 silent fears were guiding her entire downsizing journey. And if you've ever felt like Elaine, you might be carrying those fears too, without even knowing their names. The first fear, the fear of not having a plan, and endlessly putting things off. Elaine told herself, "I'll do it slowly, when I have time." But 2 years passed, and nothing had changed. The only difference was that she felt more and more overwhelmed every time she looked around her home. Then one day, she sat on the floor, surrounded by dozens of boxes, unorganized, undecided, unsure where to begin. She didn't realize that procrastination without a plan is just another form of avoidance. And without direction, decluttering doesn't free you. It weighs you down emotionally. Have you ever started with the best intentions, only to stop midway because you didn't know what to do next? The second fear, the fear of betraying memories by letting go. There was an old coat her husband used to wear. She had kept it in the closet for 12 years since he passed. The scent was gone. The fabric was worn. But to her, it was memory. Elaine had always thought, if I throw this away, it'll be like erasing him. And so the coat stayed, untouched, but quietly breaking her heart every time she saw it. Letting go of something tied to a loved one who has passed is never easy. But one day, Elaine finally understood. You can carry memories in your heart. You don't need physical evidence to keep love alive. Because if something truly lives inside you, no action can ever take it away. Are you holding on to something, not because you need it, but because you're afraid you'll forget? The third fear. The fear of hurting others by letting go. Elaine had a china set gifted at her wedding. She hadn't used it in over 10 years. When she mentioned to her daughter that she planned to sell it, her daughter went silent and then snapped, "Don't you care about memories anymore?" Elaine was stunned. The truth? No one in the family used it. If she kept it, it drained her. If she let it go, her daughter got upset. Elaine wrestled with the decision for weeks, until she realized letting go doesn't mean you don't care, and keeping everything for others is sometimes the fastest way to disappear from yourself. Have you ever held on to something simply because you were afraid of being judged? These three fears, quiet but powerful, they make us hold on to everything. Not out of logic, but because of emotions that haven't been healed. And the result? A home filled to the brim, while the heart feels empty. Even after you recognize the emotions that are holding you back, standing up, opening the drawer, placing your hand on an item, and making a real decision can still feel impossible. Because here's the truth: no one prepares you for. Objects don't just take up physical space, they occupy memory, set, and silence. And one day, you'll have to walk into that room, the room you've kept closed for so long, hoping that not touching it would mean not facing it. But the truth is, some things stopped speaking to you a long time ago. Elaine once had a room just for storage, not a garage, not a spare living room, just a room where she kept things she couldn't throw away, but no longer used. One day, she stood in that room quietly. No one was pressuring her, no one was watching, just her, and the stillness of the objects around her, like folded memories wrapped in silence. There was the dress she wore to her first symphony night with her husband, a sewing machine, broken long ago, but once her faithful companion. A collection of CDs, though no player remained to listen to them. Elaine looked around, and for the first time in her life, she no longer felt like these things belonged to her. They once had meaning. They once made her smile, made her remember, made her feel alive. But now, they no longer spoke to her. They just sat there, taking up space, quietly draining the lightness from the home she lived in. Some items we keep because we think, what if I need this one day? Elaine had held on to a pair of jeans from 30 years ago. They no longer fit. But every time she saw them, she'd whisper, "When I lose weight, I'll wear them again." 10 years passed. The jeans remained, and they no longer felt like motivation. They felt like shame. Elaine finally sighed with bitterness. I've been keeping something that only reminds me I failed. Then there were the items she promised to fix, to finish, to make whole again. A broken table lamp, her husband's favorite. She kept it for nearly 15 years, telling herself, one day I'll repair it and put it back where it belongs. But that day never came. And each time she saw it, all she remembered was unfinished tasks, not the soft glow it once gave. Elaine realized something profound. We often keep things not because we need them, but because we once had intentions for them. But you know what? Intentions don't light a room. Only action brings light back. Then came something subtler, yet just as heavy: other people's stuff. Elaine had a box full of her granddaughter's drawings. Every grandmother adores her grandchildren. But these drawings, mostly scribbles, were gifts for Grandma on every birthday, holiday, and random visit, and then forgotten. Once, Elaine tried showing them to her daughter. Her daughter laughed. "Oh, these? I thought you threw them out ages ago." Elaine had kept them, thinking they meant something to others. But in truth, no one remembered, and she had been too afraid to ask. Sometimes we don't let go, not because we need something, but because we fear being judged if we do. But the truth is, others have already moved on. Only we remain, holding on to what no one else remembers. Are you holding on to things like that? Things that no longer speak to you? Maybe they were once deeply meaningful. Maybe they brought joy, reminded you of love, or reflected parts of who you once were. But if today, they no longer make you smile, if they no longer reflect who you are, if they no longer serve the life you're living right now, then maybe it's time to gently say thank you and goodbye. Ask yourself, if I weren't here tomorrow, who would have to clean these things up? And if you don't want to leave that burden behind for someone else, start now. Start gently. Start by listening to which items still whisper to you and which ones have already gone silent. You see, the three fears you've quietly carried, fear of not having a plan, fear of betraying memories, and fear of upsetting others, were never the real problem. They were just ways you postponed a simple truth, that many of the things in this house no longer belong to your life. They've gone quiet, they no longer serve you, they are no longer you. But when you finally have the courage to face that, you'll realize letting go doesn't mean losing something. It means clearing the path to come home to yourself. After letting go of the old, the silent, the no longer useful, people often expect to feel lighter. But for many, especially after 60, what follows isn't relief. It's an emptiness. Who am I when these things are no longer around me? That is the moment when we must relearn a skill we've long forgotten. The art of keeping what makes us feel real, feel joyful, feel true. And that's when you begin the quiet work of sitting with yourself. After nearly 3 weeks of decluttering, Elaine finally began to feel a lightness in her home. Each day, a little more was released, from drawers, from shelves, and quietly from her heart. But one afternoon, as she stepped into the living room, everything looked clean, tidy, but empty. She sat down on the sofa and immediately stood up again, not because of back pain, but because it felt like she was sitting in a house that no longer had warmth. Everything was in its place, no more clutter, but also no more her. And in that moment, Elaine realized she had let go of so much. She'd forgotten to keep what made her feel alive. Not everything has to go. Some things, when you touch them, don't bring pain. They don't stir guilt. They don't confuse you. They simply make you feel safe, at ease, and quietly, like yourself. Elaine had a small hand-stitched pillow, old but still soft. On it was a phrase she loved since her youth. If you obey all the rules, you miss all the fun. She had hugged that pillow during movies, during quiet tears, during solo afternoon naps. No one else understood its meaning. But to Elaine, it was a piece of her identity. She chose to keep that pillow. Not because it was expensive, not because someone special had given it to her, but simply because it reminded her she was still someone who could smile, even when no one was watching. Do you have something like that? A teacup you drink from every morning? A worn song that still brings tears? A coat that's out of style but always makes you feel confident? These aren't things we keep because they're useful. or because someone gifted them. We keep them because they let us live as ourselves, gently, without pretense. Elaine once told a friend, "I spent a whole month decluttering." But it wasn't until I decided to keep that pillow and that teacup that my house truly became mine again. And so she began searching for those small things, not the ones she accidentally kept, but the ones she chose to keep. The worn-out robe that felt like a soft memory, a photo frame with a single picture no one else remembered, but she recalled that smile like it was yesterday. The wicker chair on the balcony where she read all summer in 2020. During the quiet isolation of the pandemic, these things didn't make the house look like a magazine, but they made it feel like home. Are you keeping anything because it makes you feel like yourself? If you had to choose only 3 things to bring into a new home, what would they be? Let us know in the comments. Life after 60 isn't about reducing everything. It's about choosing again with awareness. And once you learn how to let go well, then the next lesson is learning how to keep well. Not keeping out of fear, not out of habit, not because someone expects it, but keeping because when you touch it, you feel something undeniably true. This is me, and I'm still here. Elaine thought the hardest part of downsizing would be facing herself, until the day she had to face her family. That day, her son came to visit. The moment he noticed a few items missing from the shelf, he frowned. "Did you give away the wedding tea set, Mom? Don't you realize how important that was to us?" Elaine was taken aback. That tea set, for the past 10 years, no one had used it. The kids never touched it. Guests didn't either. She had assumed no one cared anymore. But it turns out, people didn't need to use it. They just needed it to be there, though, a quiet witness to family history. Elaine silently poured tea into a plain glass and quietly wondered, "I've spent a whole month letting go piece by piece, trying to live lighter, but could one decision really make my whole family feel like I no longer matter?" Downsizing doesn't just touch objects, it touches relationships, and people are most hurt when they feel overlooked. Elaine also had to face a very particular room. Not the bedroom, not the living room, but the garage. That space had once been her husband's world, where he fixed things, arranged his tools, and left behind traces of a time no one else could replace. She had kept the garage door closed for years as a way to preserve that memory untouched. And for all those years, she didn't dare open it, afraid that clearing it would feel like slowly erasing the presence of the man she had loved most. But one day, she opened the door. The scent of old oil still lingered. His wooden hammer still hung in its usual place. And the afternoon sun streamed in through the window, casting soft light on everything that had sat silent for too long. Elaine stood there, then whispered, as if speaking to him, "I'm not clearing this to forget you. I'm clearing it so I have enough space to keep living." And she made her choices. She kept one hammer, a wall clock he used to adjust every Sunday morning. The rest, she let go with no regret, no longer feeling like a betrayal, only a gentle gratitude and a quiet goodbye in her heart. With her children, she did things differently. She sent a message in advance. "I'll be downsizing over the next 2 weeks. If there's anything you'd like to keep, please come get it. After that, I'll be letting the rest go." No one got upset. In fact, they felt respected. That week, the whole family came home. They laughed, sorted through old things, and chose together what was worth keeping. Elaine told me, "I never thought a box of old stuff could spark so many conversations." Turns out, Before we declutter a house, we need to declutter how we speak with those we love. Have you ever felt anxious that someone might be upset if you let go of something? Have you ever quietly thrown something away, afraid of starting conflict in the family, or felt misunderstood, like your desire to live lighter was seen as denying the past? If so, you're not alone. And if you can start today, try creating a safe space for each family member. A memory box, a personal corner, a simple heads up before letting something go. Not to ask permission, but to make sure everyone feels heard. Because in the end, decluttering isn't about winning. It's about understanding each other. After all the emotional friction with objects, with memories, with loved ones, Elaine learned one powerful truth. Downsizing isn't something you complete in a week or even a month. It's a living, breathing journey, one that requires patience and kindness. Kindness toward others and kindness toward yourself. But the truth is, even when you're ready to let go, even when you know exactly what to keep, even when you've learned to respect the differences within your family, the process can still wear you down. It can drain your energy, and at times, make you want to give up. That's why, before we close today's video, let's pause for a moment together to reflect on 3 simple yet powerful ways you can protect your energy and peace of mind throughout this journey. These aren't just typical cleaning tips. They are small, spiritual rituals meant to help you not only clear your home, but also keep your heart calm and steady along the way. 3 tips to keep your decluttering journey from draining you. Tip number 1. Don't try to finish the whole house. Start with just one tiny corner, and only one. Elaine used to think she had to map out every room, every shelf, every drawer. But that only left her feeling overwhelmed. Then, one day she decided to declutter just a single drawer. No deadlines, no perfection. Just sit down, open that drawer, and ask, what still belongs with me? That night, she slept better than she had in weeks. Not because the drawer was tidy, but because she had begun. You see, the true power lies in a beginning that's light enough, so you won't quit. If you only have 20 minutes today, could you start with one bookshelf or one drawer in your vanity? Never underestimate a small corner. It may just be the door that opens the entire journey. Tip number 2. Celebrate each step, even the tiniest one. Elaine had a little ritual of her own. Every time she finished a space, she made herself a cup of tea, sat down, and quietly looked at what she had done. Not to show off, just to acknowledge herself. To whisper, I made it one step further. Because on an emotional journey like this, recognizing each small win helps you stay afloat instead of drowning in that feeling of not enough. You can try keeping a small notebook, call it your decluttering journal. Write in it what you let go of today and how it made you feel. No need for pages, just a few lines, but it will remind you you are moving forward, not stuck. Have you ever taken a moment to acknowledge yourself after letting go of something? If not, maybe today's the perfect day to start with a simple thank you to your own heart. Tip number 3. Never do it alone, even if there's no one else around. It may sound strange, but connection doesn't always come from having someone in the room. It comes from the feeling that you are not alone. Elaine often played soft music or old voice recordings her husband had made. Some days, she played YouTube videos of older women sharing their own decluttering journeys and let them play while she worked. It felt like tidying up beside a quiet friend. No pressure, no loneliness, and maybe this very video can be that companion for you. If you're still listening to these words, then know, you are not alone. There are thousands of others out there walking this same path, learning just like you to let go and to hold on. Elaine often said, "Decluttering doesn't drain me. It's how I learn to take care of myself again, through the smallest things." And if you're feeling tired right now, just remember, no one expects you to finish in a day. All that matters is that you keep going, one breath, one soft step at a time. Someone once said, "We don't really live in our homes. We live in the emotions those homes bring us every single day." And downsizing, simplifying, letting go, making space, isn't truly about cardboard boxes or inventory checklists. It's a journey that moves from fear to clarity to peace. You've walked that journey alongside Elaine, from being overwhelmed by emotion to facing each item, each layer of dust, each corner of memory with honesty. From feeling lost in a sea of decisions to rediscovering a teacup, a pillow, and herself within it. From quiet tension with family members to creating a space of safety where listening and respect could bloom again. And if you're still here, still listening, all the way to the final moments, then let me say this first. You haven't given up, not on the home you've lived in your whole life, not on the space that once made your heart heavy, and most importantly, not on yourself. So if today you're ready, start with a drawer, or simply pick up one item and ask yourself, is this still speaking to me? If this video touched something within you, please leave us a comment. Even just the words, "I'm still here," are enough to remind us you're not alone on this path. And if you know someone who's quietly struggling with a home that feels too full, send this video their way. As a gentle gift, we are learning to slow down. And sometimes that's the only way to truly live.